Hello everyone, and welcome to the last Commando cast of 2019. I hope everyone had a great holiday break. I did. I was able to pre-prepare about 12 days worth of content, so I was able to take a little break and unplug for a bit, which was nice because I was traveling, and then of course, as you guys know, I got sick. So after the last month or so, kind of being unplugged, not only for the Prime, but then of course taking the break, I've been observing a couple things in the community that have been troubling me. So now that we actually have a release date, January 17th for the new set, which is going to result in hopefully a lot more people joining us or people returning back to the game. I want to take a few minutes to just share some of my thoughts and feelings and observations on some of the stuff I've seen and hopefully help us build a better community going forward. All right, guys, so thanks for your patience during my sickness. Obviously, as you can probably hear, I'm not completely fully recovered, but trust me, it's nowhere near as bad as it was last week. So obviously, we missed our Friday date, so I apologize for the schedule miss. This is coming out on Monday instead, so hopefully that's okay. Don't worry, the gameplay videos will continue to come. We'll get back on normal schedule basically immediately. So also today is going to be slightly different because of the importance and special, I guess, the wording of how I wanted to say some things. I'm actually going to be reading a bit today. So if I'm, looking down and reading instead of at the camera, that's why I want to make sure that I'm saying things the right way so that they're not taken out of context or I don't missay something. So thanks for understanding that. So obviously I was traveling. I had to travel for Thanksgiving holiday, and then I also traveled for the Christmas holiday. And traveling is one of those things that has really helped me kind of learn not only that our community is good, not just that the online community is good, but that there are a lot of great Destiny communities around, right? Traveling to Milwaukee, I got to meet those great people up there. When I traveled to Virginia, I was able to meet up with a group there. They had a great community. There were a lot of people there, and it's just really great, and it's just been great to remind me of how strong the community can be, right? I know I didn't get to go to Worlds or anything like that, and obviously that was a huge, great community thing as well. But that's almost like something more you would expect because that's something people are traveling to, like the upcoming Las Vegas Open. That's sure to be a good time. Everyone will come back super energized from that. But I also love the fact that I can go travel to just wherever I'm traveling, I can seem to find a Destiny group to meet up. And that's a really good indicator of, I think, how strong the community is. That said, it's important for us to remember that there are other communities out there that aren't doing as well. Specifically, I have 3 examples of people who've reached out and communicated to me through the channel just over not that long, right? We have obviously our friends up in Montreal. They have 2 stores that no longer support Destiny, and the last one, it sounds like, is also going. The reason that this has been dying out, 2 stores have dropped carrying FFG product because of the delay. There's been a significant drop there. They went from 14 to 18 players down to 2 to 4. So that community is struggling. Another individual said, could have used some news. My hometown playgroup is crippled. All players have decided to put Destiny on hold. I'm lucky enough I have a second playgroup in Florence where I work. And then Todd reached out just a couple days ago. He said, thanks for all your videos. My community is dead, so I don't play, but love following the game through your channel, right? So these are people who used to have great communities and they've dried up because of the delay. So it's important for us to acknowledge that this break and drought in product, right? I mean, we haven't seen anything since June, and yes, we have the announcement, which is fantastic. It's going to help give us a shot in the arm. Hopefully we can get some of these communities back, but it's important to note that there are people out there struggling. And I guess to that end is kind of what I wanted to talk about. There's been a lot of conflict on the boards. The Facebook group is particularly what I'm referring to over the last month or so. As you guys know, I'm not really in many of the Discords. I know that those can kind of be a wretched hive of scum and villainy to a certain extent. But that's not really what I'm referring to. I'm referring really to the public stuff that a new player or someone returning to the game might see. 2 of these conflicts that happened, so there's been 3 major conflicts that have happened within the last month or so, and 2 of these were related to content creators, like good content creators who've been in the game for a long time, saying something that was even pseudo-negative or could be implied as being negative about the game or FFG as a company. And some parts of the community came down on them pretty hard and I think a little unfairly. So I guess my take here is that content creator or not, right? I'm not in this. This is not a skin in the game content creator type thing, right? But content creator or not, a person has just as much of a right to talk about something that they're feeling in a negative sense about the game as you do to not want to hear it or to demand them to only say positive stuff, right? Again, they have the right to say that, and they have the right to feel how they feel. And I guess I'm kind of afraid, and I'm perceiving things a little bit right now like we might be in a bit of a bully culture to a certain extent, whereas because we're so passionate about this game and we want it to succeed, that whenever anybody says anything bad about it, we come down upon them, I think is actually starting to actually hurt our own community, whether being intentional or unintentional, right? So my point is, not only is it damaging to the community to not give those people a voice, but what's worse is the ensuing internal conflict, right? And what I mean from that standpoint is, right, put yourself in the shoes of a new player coming to the game who said, all right, great, this piloting stuff looks amazing. I just picked up Luke and Red 5. I can't wait to get this on the table. Let's join the Facebook group. And then you log in and all people are fighting about, or all you see is this huge long thread of people fighting about whether FFG is good or bad, or whether your content creator should be allowed to say something or not. I just don't think that person, we as a community take a lot of pride, I believe, in how good the community is and how strong the community is and how supportive the community is. And I think that we quite often use that as a selling point for our game. But then in the last month, all we've been doing, it seems, is fighting with each other. So if you as a new player are coming in, you're excited, you ask a question, then somebody says RTFC, which if you don't know what that means, it's read the bleeping card, right? So that's not great. And then all of a sudden there's this huge fight about something that you might not even know about. I don't think that's representing the community in the way that I think we think it should be. So that has me concerned. If someone wants to share a frustration, like there are communities out there, like I pointed out, who are being punished, right? So if somebody wants to share a frustration, just because it isn't 100% in support of FFG or the game and helping it grow, that doesn't mean that they should be harassed and forced out. It seems a bit extreme to me. So, and I want to be very clear about this, right? When we get passionate about things, it becomes very easy to fight about other things. I'm not innocent at this at all, right? A couple months ago, it was actually right concurrent with the announcement of the set delay. I got a little frustrated about where the game was, and then there was some other conflict on the board, and I ended up internalizing that as a fight with the Golden Dice guys, and I went after them, which was obviously stupid. It was completely unreasonable. It wasn't their fault at all. We were fighting about something else, and I took frustrations from that and put it on them, right? So I'm not innocent at all in this. What I did was, not only do I regret it, but it was stupid and it was pointless at that point. Like there was no reason for it, and it didn't accomplish anything other than just making everybody look stupid, right? So that's, I guess, I'm not innocent at all. I'm not saying that this is something that we can't fall into from time to time, but it is something that's completely unnecessary and doesn't do us any good. Look, the reality of the situation is FFG screwed up, right? They have, FFG as a company has put the game at risk by doing what they're doing, right? And I think that maybe because one of the things that bothered me actually when everybody came back from Worlds was how excited, it didn't bother me that everyone was excited. It was great that everyone was excited. Everyone had gone. Worlds was a great time. And everyone came back and they're like, man, look how much FFG loves this game. And I think that there was a bit of a overstep there in that I think people are not able to dissociate the individuals at FFG and FFG as a company. You look at a Jeremy Zwern, of course Jeremy Zwern cares. Of course he cares about the game succeeding. He doesn't want to be the game designer at the helm when the game dies. Obviously he wants the game to be successful, right? You look at a Matt Holland, right? Matt Holland is great that he's giving us what we want in terms of communication, but he's still an individual who works for the company, right? His job is, he's the communication guy. Like, he doesn't want the game to die because the community said we're tired of not getting communication. Like, obviously he cares about getting us the information that we can get. However, neither one of those two individuals that I just spoke about has any decision on whether or not they're going today, being the company, creates a next set of Destiny, right? It's going to be bottom line driven only. So to that extent, to my point on why we shouldn't just crush somebody saying something negatively, is I don't believe FFG as a company cares one way or the other whether a content creator says something good or whether a content creator says something bad, right? The Jeremy Zwerns and the Matt Hollands, it may hurt their feelings, or it may, it may change the way that they approach something, and there's an impact there. However, FFG himself is only going to care whether or not the bottom line is being met, whether or not it makes financial sense to make the next set or not. And that's, I guess, is my concern about us not letting people air their grievances, is all we're doing by not letting people air their grievances, or by not letting them have a sympathetic ear to listen to, is that we're making these people feel like there's no place for them in the community, right? And trust me, there are people in the community who are feeling choked, who are feeling like they don't have an outlet to go play with, and who are worried. And if that person doesn't feel like they can share those feelings, they're not going to feel like they can be part of the community, and they're going to leave the community. And the ensuing combativeness that we've seen in the last month or so, going back and forth on these discussions, is not helping the new players come in, right? So someone leaving the community, a new player not wanting to come into the community, those directly affect the bottom line, which is product sales, and that will negatively affect our ability to keep the game going, right? So basically the jump that I'm trying to make here is, if we fight as a community, and if we don't allow certain portions of the community to feel like they're being heard, all we're doing is hurting ourselves, right? So by only allowing people who we want to be in the community to be in it, and by only allowing people who talk the same way and feel the same way that we do to be in the community, all we're doing is hurting ourselves by reducing the size of the community and overall reducing product sales, right? And then of course how many people were at Worlds? Roughly 500 people at Worlds. Right, if you start doing just the quick math on that, I don't know margins and all that stuff, right? But start doing the quick math on that of, let's even assume everyone who went to Worlds buys a case every set, which we know they don't, right? We're only looking then at 500 cases. You start doing the math on that, and that's clearly not the income level that's supporting. There are way more people in the world that play Destiny than the 500 people that went to Worlds, and not letting someone who plays at their kitchen table feel like they can be a part of the community is a mistake. Not letting the guy who is trying to build his 2 or 3 person community, who's saying, man, I'm having a really hard time doing this, I lost a bunch of people because of this delay, not letting him feel like he can air those grievances and then deciding to quit and not continue to support his community is not effective, and it's not helpful to any of us. So I don't know. I guess that's pretty much my point. Hopefully I didn't trail off too much. But ultimately what I'm trying to just say here is, we take a huge amount of pride in how strong and how supportive the Star Wars Destiny community is. And quite frankly, I feel like we need to kind of put our money where our mouth is. We have a huge opportunity right now with now that we actually have a release date announced, now that pre-orders can actually be put in and people can start paying for stuff and people can be committed, people are going to start getting excited. They're going to say, hey, I've got new product on the horizon. We're going to have new players wanting to come in, old players wanting to come back, new events kicking off, drafts, all this stuff that's going to help give the community the huge shot in the arm that we haven't had since July. And we need to seize this opportunity and kind of prepare ourselves for that going in now, because this is when people are going to be joining us. They're not going to wait for release day and then suddenly start reading the boards, right? So again, let's put our money where our mouth is. The things that we take pride in, let's make sure that those are the things that we're properly doing, right? Again, I'm just as guilty as other people of straying from that, but it doesn't mean that we can't stop, reflect, and try to do better. So I don't know, hopefully this wasn't just too much of a lecture, but I just kind of wanted to share my feelings on what I've been seeing. I'm curious what else you guys have to say on it. If you could just like and just comment below in the stream, I'd like to get a good conversation going about it if we think there's something to have the conversation about. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I just wanted to thank you guys for joining us for 2019. We've got a bunch of stuff planned for 2020, especially with the new set coming. So if nothing else, like, subscribe. Thank you guys very much for watching, and go Commando.